You could call it the official food of the pandemic. Hot dogs. Even the worst cook can make them. And as Megan Alexander reports, they've been flying off the shelves. Hot dogs look harmless, right? Backyard, barbecues, ball games and quick dinners. They're supposed to be simple, comfort food. But behind the bun sits a sodium bomb loaded with fillers, chemicals, and mystery meat that never met a clean butcher's knife. For seniors, it's even worse. One dog can push blood pressure through the roof, strain the kidneys, and leave your heart racing. We're counting down 8 grocery store hot dogs you must avoid, and 2 that are actually safe. Starting off with number 8, Ballpark Prime, uncured beef franks, the dog that screams premium but delivers a salty slap instead. Ballpark loves to throw the word prime around like you're biting into a steakhouse cut in a bun. The packaging flashes words like uncured and beef, designed to make you feel safe, tossing them on the grill for your family. But peel back the wrapper, and the truth is a whole different story. One frank carries about 710 milligrams of sodium, nearly half your daily limit, in a single greasy tube of meat. And that's before you even add the bun, the ketchup, or the side of chips. One dog, nearly half your day's sodium. Bite into one and you're not tasting premium. You're chewing through a sponge soaked in salt water. The skin sweats out, grease that clings to your fingers, and texture bounces like it's padded with rubber. For seniors, this isn't just unpleasant, it's dangerous. Doctors warned that sodium overload can spike blood pressure in minutes, putting stress on kidneys already working overtime. If you're on heart meds, it's like washing them down with a shot of salt. The FDA has long flagged hot dogs as processed meats tied to higher risks of heart disease and colorectal cancer. Researchers even say cutting processed meats down by just 50 grams a week, less than one of these Ballpark franks, can lower your risk. Europe already has stricter limits on sodium in packaged meat. Over here, brands like Ballpark still crank it up because salt makes cheap meat taste like something it isn't. You won't believe what's lurking inside the next dog. And if you're shocked so far, hit that like button so more people see this. So if you crave a hot dog that won't push your heart into overtime, switch to lower sodium, uncured beef franks. Hebrew National offers versions that still taste like beef without loading you with chemicals and salt. Your taste buds will notice the difference, and so will your blood pressure monitor. Before we move on, let me throw this to you. Would you knowingly eat a premium dog that pushes your sodium past safe levels before lunch? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Too much salt can wreck your heart, but the bargain bin frank lurking. Next is a whole new trick, sliding into number 7, Bar S Classic Franks. The family favorite that's cheap for a reason. Bar S markets itself as the budget hero. Big packs, low prices, and a slogan that makes it sound like a classic choice for cookouts. Parents toss them in carts thinking they're scoring a deal. But cheap meat isn't really meat. It's scraps and fillers, dressed up in plastic. Reports show these dogs are stuffed with mechanically separated chicken and pork. That's the leftover paste scraped from carcasses with high-pressure machines, then flavored with artificial smoke to trick your senses. Mechanically separated meat isn't meat. It's leftovers in disguise. Open the package and you'll notice it. A faint chemical smell that clings to the wrapper like wet cardboard mixed with smoke spray. The color is uniform pink, not from natural beef or pork, but from additives designed to make mystery meat look appetizing. Take a bite and instead of a snap, you get a rubbery chew. The kind of texture that makes you question what's holding it together. And here's the part that hits home. Seniors on restricted diets think these lighter franks are safe. In reality, the sodium and additives can trigger digestive issues, spike blood pressure, and put added strain on kidneys already struggling. The FDA has flagged processed meats like this as Group 1 carcinogens right alongside cigarettes. Europe limits the use of certain fillers. Yet here, these dogs pass straight through supermarket shelves, but the classic label hides a chemical cocktail. So, what's the fix? If you want a hot dog that won't feel like mystery paste, look at brands like Applegate Naturals. They use grass-fed beef and simple seasoning instead of chemical smoke and carcass slurry. It costs more, but you're buying actual food, not scraps glued together. Would you feed your family a product that gets its texture from machines, not muscle? Drop your thoughts below. That cheap pink paste was only the appetizer. Up next, a healthy chicken dog that hides a rubbery secret. Coming in at number 6, Gwaltney Original Chicken Hot Dogs. The so-called lighter choice that weighs heavy on your health. Gwaltney pushes chicken as the leaner alternative. The label makes it sound safe. Fewer calories, less fat, an option for families trying to eat smart. But when you cut it open, the truth is less farm, fresh, and more like industrial leftovers. These franks are made from mechanically separated chicken. The grey paste blasted off bones and pressed into tubes. Additives and flavor boosters step in to hide the bland taste. Less fat doesn't mean less danger. The texture tells you everything. Instead of a natural snap, you get a rubbery chew that feels like chewing an eraser. Heat one up and a faint chemical steam rises, almost metallic, mixing with the smell of boiled plastic. It's not the aroma of a healthy meal. It's a warning sign. Seniors are especially at risk. While the package brags about fewer calories, each dog still packs a sodium load that can send blood pressure spiking. And, with weak protein quality, you're not building strength, you're feeding your body filler. Nutritionists warned that diets heavy in these processed franks can leave older adults short on the nutrients needed to maintain bone density, raising the risk of brittle bones and fractures. The FDA has long tied processed poultry products like these to increased cancer and kidney stress. Meanwhile, Europe restricts certain additives that still end up in US store shelves. Healthy branding doesn't erase hidden chemicals. There's a better way. If you want a chicken option, look for organic chicken, sausages without fillers, brands that skip the mechanical separation and use actual cuts of meat will taste like food, not paste. Yes, you'll pay more, but you're avoiding the gamble of mystery slurry and sodium bombs. Quick pause. Have you ever bought a healthy version of a food only to find out later it was just as bad? Drop your story in the comments. Coming in at number 5, Empire's uncured turkey franks. They look clean at first glance, but the fine print tells another story. The label leans on 2 words meant to ease your mind: uncured and turkey. Both sound like the safer choice for families wanting a leaner hot dog. But peel back the wrapper and you'll see a watery turkey sludge stiffened into shape. This isn't lean, wholesome meat. It's mechanically separated scraps pumped with sodium and pressed until it resembles food. Uncured doesn't mean safe, it just means hidden. Take one out in the S and the texture is wrong from the start. Damp, almost clammy, with a slick surface that feels more like wet rubber glove. Then meat. Drop it into boiling water and the smell isn't appetizing. It's metallic steam laced with chemical sharpness. Bite into it, and instead of savory turkey, you get a mushy chew that leaves a salty burn the back of your throat. For seniors, this isn't just disappointing, it's dangerous. Each frank loads the body with sodium that can send blood pressure soaring. If you're on heart meds, the effect is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Kidneys already working overtime have to strain harder, raising long-term risks. The FDA has warned for years that processed meats, turkey included, are linked to higher rates of cancer and chronic illness. In Europe, certain additives are capped or banned. Here, they slide into Frank's labeled all natural. The healthier choice may be the riskiest bite of all. So what you can do is skip the illusion of health and look for nitrate-free turkey, sausages that actually use real cuts of meat. Smaller brands and organic labels can give you lean protein without the chemical cocktail. They cost more, but you're buying honesty instead of watery paste. Would you trade your health for a hot dog that sweats chemicals and pretends to be clean? Drop your thoughts below. Turkey in disguise is bad enough, but the All-American classic coming next sings a much darker tune. Landing at number 4, Oscar Mayer classic, Wieners. The jingle says they have a whey, but that whey is stuffed with fillers. For decades, Oscar Mayer has sold itself as the all-American hot dog. The yellow package feels nostalgic. The name is trusted. Families toss them in, the cart thinking they're grabbing a safe, familiar classic, but that trust is misplaced. Instead of clean beef or pork, these Franks are loaded with fillers, multiple types of meat, and mechanically separated poultry. It's less classic recipe and more meat mash experiment. A catchy jingle never sang about. Cancer warnings. Slice 1. Open and you'll see the problem. The texture is so smooth it looks polished, like a pink eraser you'd find in a classroom. That uniform look isn't natural. It comes from grinding the meat to paste and mixing in starches, stabilizers and colorings until nothing resembles muscle. Heat them up and the smell isn't a rich meaty aroma. It's a faint chemical haze that clings to the pan. The health side is worse. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats, yes, including hot dogs, like these, as Group 1 carcinogens, the same category as tobacco. Just one hot dog a day has been linked to a higher risk of colorectal cancer. Add in the sodium and preservatives, and seniors on blood pressure or heart medication are gambling with every bite. Kidneys can't flush out all that salt without paying the price. And while Europe limits certain additives here, these classics are allowed to pack in the extras under a friendly logo. You won't believe what's lurking behind that nostalgic label. If you want a hot dog that won't feel like a chemical project, go with Hebrew National's all-natural line. Fewer fillers, cleaner ingredients, and actual beef flavor. It's a hot dog that tastes like food, not factory. Would you still hum that Oscar Mayer tune if you knew the health risks baked into every bite? Share your thoughts in the comments. Fillers and jingles are one thing. What's next? A so-called premium beef dog wrapped in slime complaints. Marching in at number 3, Vienna Beef Jumbo Beef Franks. Chicago pride on the label, but plenty of unlisted extras inside. This brand sells itself as the premium beef dog, tied to Chicago's famous hot dog stands. The name alone makes people trust it, but the promise of tradition hides a mess of preservatives, additives, and one problem you'll feel the second you open the package. Slimy skin. That slimy wrapper isn't just gross, it's a warning sign. Customers have complained about the packaging for years. Pull a Frank from the pack and it feels slick, almost like wet latex gloves. That clammy layer isn't nostalgia. It's a breeding ground for bacteria if storage slips even slightly. Heat one up and the casing sweats grease dripping into the pan with a chemical smell that's more lab than kitchen. The health toll is real. Preservatives like sodium erythropoietin and sodium nitrite keep the dogs looking fresh but strain your liver and kidneys over time. For seniors on medication, that mix is a recipe for stress, blood, pressure spikes, reduced kidney function, and higher cancer risks. The FDA has long warned about nitrite levels in processed meats, and the World Health Organization still lists hot dogs in the same cancer risk group as cigarettes. Europe has tighter limits on nitrites, but here brands like Vienna keep loading them in for shelf life. You won't believe what counts as premium in the us. And let's be clear, calling it beef doesn't mean clean. Additives pump up the flavor while the real meat quality takes a back seat. That Pride of Chicago label hides the fact that you're chewing on a preservative-heavy sponge. There is a safer swap. Niman Ranch Franks are made in smaller batches with real cuts of meat, no slimy packaging, and fewer additives. They cost more, but you're paying for actual food instead of chemicals dressed up as tradition. Would you trust a brand that hides grease under the name of pride? Drop your answer in the comments. That latex-like skin was gross, but now we're biting into a gummy turkey log that pretends it's guilt-free. Runner-up at number 2, Jennie-O Turkey Franks. The brand that sells turkey is guilt-free but delivers nothing but disappointment. The pitch sounds convincing. Leaner meat, fewer calories, and a name that makes you feel like you're choosing smart. Shoppers grab these thinking they're avoiding the dangers of red meat. But peel back the wrapper and you'll see the trick. This isn't wholesome turkey breast. It's mechanically separated meat, scraps blasted into paste, then whipped into uniform logs. It's the turkey dog that plays dress up. The texture is the first red flag. Bite into one and you don't get a snap. You get a gummy, spongy chew that bounces back like rubber, heated on a skillet, and the smell is faintly sour with a chemical undertone that lingers in the air. Flavor, practically none. It's a bland, salty tube that tastes more like packaging than poultry. And here's where it gets dangerous. While marketed as lighter, the sodium is anything but light. Each Frank carries a load that can send blood pressure up fast. Seniors on heart or kidney meds are the ones who pay the price. The body works harder to flush out what little nutrition it gets. Add in the weak protein quality, and you're not building strength. You're filling your stomach with a salty sponge that leaves bones and muscles starving for real fuel. The FDA still lists processed meats as cancer-linked foods, and turkey is no exception. Europe has stricter limits on sodium and additives, yet here, brands like Jennie-O pass it off as healthy. Deers get misled and older. Adults end up with health risks they never signed up for. Lean doesn't mean safe. It means sneaky. There's a safer route. Organic poultry sausages made with real cuts of meat skip the chemical filler act. They cost more, but they taste like food and won't sabotage your health goals. Would you trust a brand that turns turkey into rubber and still calls it smart? Let us know in the comments. Leaner meat fooled you once. Now meet the bottom of the barrel Frank, a sugar-coated trap with meat perfume, taking the spot number 1. Sugardale. Hot dogs proves that cheap can taste. Downrig. Tea dangerous. The promise, a budget-friendly family hot dog. The reality, mechanically separated pork and chicken scraps, sugar and fillers, blended into something that barely counts as meat. It's like calling candy bars a source of protein. Misleading at best, risky at worst. Sugaral, more like sugar trap. The texture tells the story. Slice one open and the inside is gummy, soft, almost like stale dough. Heat it up and the outside crust looks freezer burned with white frost scars that never cook away. And then comes the smell. A stale meat perfume that clings to the air, a mix of salt, sweetness, and something oddly metallic. That's not dinner. That's warning signs in a bun. Health-wise, Sugardale doubles the trouble. The added sweeteners lure kids and dieters, but paired with low quality fats, it's a nightmare for diabetics and seniors. One Frank can hit over 500 milligrams of sodium and still leave you short on real nutrition. For someone already on blood pressure pills, that's like throwing gas on a fire. The FDA has flagged processed meats for years. Yet, in the US, these dogs pass as family-friendly. In Europe, many of these additives are capped or banned outright. Here, they're pumped in by the pound. You won't believe what some companies call wholesome. Even the protein is weak. It's mechanically scraped from bones, reformed and held together with binders. Bite into one and you're not getting turkey, beef or pork. you're chewing on filler dressed up with artificial smoke. There's a better option. Trader Joe's organic grass-fed beef hot dogs use actual cuts of meat. No sugar games, no freezer burn crust. They taste like food because they are food. So, have you ever opened a pack that smelled off before cooking? Drop your story in the comments. So those are the 8 worst offenders, but not every hot dog is a health hazard. Here are some safe picks which you can act to. Ali eat. Now heading back up. Bonus pick number 1 goes to Applegate. Naturals, one brand that actually earns your trust. Most hot dogs are built on scraps and chemicals. Applegate flips the script with 100% grass-fed beef, no fillers, no nitrates, and no artificial ingredients. Read the label and it's shockingly short. Beef, water, sea salt, spices, that's it. No secret lab mix, no pink goo pressed into tubes. This one actually belongs on your grill. The difference shows up fast. Open the package and there's no slimy coating or stale smell. Toss one on the pan and you hear a real sizzle, not the hiss of water seeping from frozen paste. Bite in, and the snap feels authentic like beef should. Reviewers even say it tastes like a campfire cookout, smoky, clean, and real. That's not marketing, that's meat. And for seniors, it matters. Applegate Franks clock in at lower sodium than most classic brands, averaging around 480 milligrams per dog instead of the 700 plus you get from Ballpark or Sugardale. That cut makes a difference. For anyone watching blood pressure or juggling heart meds, add in actual protein your body can use, not scraps, bound with starch. And it's a safer option for kidney health too. Why settle for fillers when you can taste beef? The FDA still lets companies sell heavily processed Franks with multiple meats, dyes, and sugar. In Europe, many of those additives wouldn't even pass approval. Applegate's simpler recipe shows it's possible to make hot dogs without treating them like chemistry projects. Is it perfect? Number. It's still a processed meat. But if you want a Frank that won't leave you bloated with salt or chewing on gummy paste, this is one of the few that stands tall. So, what about you? Have you tried a hot dog that actually surprised you in a good way? Drop the name in the comments. And there's one more option that truly deserves a spot on your plate. Finally, bonus, pick number 2. Hebrew National is one of the few names that lives up to the label. This isn't a bargain bin, trick, or a nostalgia brand hiding behind a jingle. Hebrew National runs under kosher standards, meaning stricter oversight, cleaner sourcing, and a shorter ingredient list. No mystery, fillers, no chemical dyes, just beef, water, salt, and spices. That's rare in aisle packed with products that feel more like science experiments than food, proof that not every dog has gone bad. The contrast hits as soon as you open the pack. No slimy coating, no chemical steam cloud puffing out. Instead, it smells like actual beef. Bite into one, and it doesn't collapse into gummy mush. It snaps. It tastes like meat. And it leaves flavor instead of that weird, freezer-burned aftertaste. Compared to Oscar Mayer's rubber stick texture or Sugardale's stale perfume, it's night and day. Health-wise, Hebrew National keeps sodium levels moderate, around 480 to 500 milligrams per Frank. Still not perfect, but lower than the 700 plus numbers the FDA warns can wreck daily limits in just a couple of bites. For seniors watching, blood pressure, kidney function, or managing heart meds, that drop can be the difference between a safe snack and a dangerous spike. Why eat junk when clean meat is right there? And here's the kicker. What's banned in Europe often slides through in US grocery stores. Many American hot dogs are loaded with nitrites, preservatives, and sugars you'll never see overseas. Hebrew National proves you don't need to pack a Frank with chemical tricks to sell millions. Is it perfect? No, it's still processed. But compared to the Franken, dogs that came before on this list, Hebrew National gives you a chance to grill without guilt. Not every hot dog is a trap, but you just saw how many are. Thanks for watching. What's the worst hot dog you've ever picked up from the STO? Drop your story in the comments. The nastier, the better. Want to see which frozen meals are basically chemical labs in a box? Click on the left.